Hey everyone, I'm just going to give everyone a second to log in. All right. Thank you all so much for joining us today. Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you're joining us from. As always, we're happy to have you. Welcome to today's webinar, co-hosted by the New York Oracle User Group and Oracle partner Viscosity North America. We've got a great session for you today. And I'm hoping to see some great questions from you all as it is a live webinar. So feel free to submit questions to the Q&A box. If you've got logistical questions about the platform, about Viscosity, about NYOUG, you can put those in the chat. But if you have questions for our speaker today, please keep it in the Q&A box. She'll get to them as she can or at the following her session today. My name is Monika Lee. I'm the marketing director for Viscosity North America. We're a full Oracle Stack consulting firm that you'll hear a little more about in a second from my colleague, Katie. So you guys know today's webinar is recorded and Katie will send you information about it after today's webinar as soon as she gets a slide deck from our speaker and the rendering is done of the session. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Coleman, who is here from New York Oracle User Group. He's just going to tell you a little bit about them.
Thank you, Monika, for the introduction. Welcome everybody to our series of webinars co-hosted with Viscosity. So the New York Oracle Users Group was formed almost 40 years ago for the exchange of ideas, assistance, and support among users of Oracle software products. You can reach us on Twitter, Meetup, and if you have abstracts, please feel free to submit it. We always have room for another presenter to the series of webinars. Also LinkedIn, Facebook, and our website, NYOUG. And thank Viscosity for co-hosting these series of webinars with us. It's been going on for a little over 2 years now. And for the near future, we see this continuing. And I'll stop share and turn it over.
Thanks, Coleman. All right, my colleague, Katie Barnes, she's going to tell you a little bit more about Viscosity and also remember her name because that's the email you want to look for after today's webinar for all the resources referring to today's session.
Thanks, Monika. Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks again for joining us today. My name is Katie Barnes. I'm an account manager at Viscosity. Before we get started with the webinar today, I'm going to give you guys a brief introduction to Viscosity and give you some information about who we are and what we do. Viscosity is an Oracle partner. We work very closely with Oracle Product Management, and we now have 6 Oracle ACEs on our team. Many Oracle customers rely on professional service partners like ourselves to serve as trusted advisors and help make better purchasing decisions. Our business model at Viscosity is very simple. We work hard to build trusted relationships and we implement technologies and solutions when the time is right. So our areas of expertise fall under 3 pillars: data, apps, and infrastructure. A large bulk of our business is on the database side, including data integration, data warehousing, zero downtime migration to latest versions, including 19C, and overall we help improve performance at the database level. In our applications practice, we do a lot of Apex development, EPM, ERP, we develop custom apps. And lastly, our infrastructure and hardware practice includes Oracle's public cloud offering, bare metal engineered systems. We were actually named Oracle's ODA Partner of the Year in 2019. So as you can see here, we're very active within the Oracle community. We do pretty much everything when it comes to Oracle, but these are some of our more broadened areas of expertise. The people that you see here on this slide represent some of our leaders at Viscosity and our Oracle ACEs. We have 6 Oracle ACEs now on our team. These guys are amazing. They are frequently presenting webinars for us and at user group conferences around the globe. They are all wonderful leaders to have within your network and are eager to meet with individuals like yourself. So these are some of the other services that we offer. We have experts on Oracle license management that have actually come from Oracle and worked in that space for several years. We provide all of our customers with knowledge and best practices on how to manage and maximize your Oracle investments. We are probably most known for our zero downtime migrations and upgrade services. We've helped customers migrate from AIX to Linux with zero downtime, and more recently have been helping our customers with upgrading to Oracle 19c. Our performance health checks allows us to fix pain points before they become real issues for our customers. And lastly, we also offer a full stack of DBA services as well. This slide showcases the work that Viscosity has put into becoming trusted advisors who have actually written the books on Oracle's latest technologies and versions, anything from virtualization, pluggable databases to Oracle Exadata. We offer consulting and strategy meetings to assess any of your current projects, pain points, or team goals, and to share our resources with you like the books that you see here. So if you are available to connect with us, shoot me an email and we can schedule a time to connect. As of the first of the year, Viscosity has acquired Orapub, one of the leading Oracle training companies in the US, founded by Oracle ACE Director Craig Shalahammer. Craig is now part of the Viscosity team, and together we provide both predictive analytics and performance tuning training for Oracle systems. Now that Orapub is powered by Viscosity, it will continue to be a one-stop location for specialized training in machine learning and Oracle database performance tuning. Orapub and Viscosity alike are designed to help Oracle professionals get the answers and the skills they need through engaging training and useful resources. All Viscosity hosted webinars can be found at www.orapub.com with recordings and slide decks. You can sign up for a free membership to reap the benefits from webinars like today's presentations, workshops, or quick tips, or you can also purchase a membership tier for access to even more content. And just a quick reminder, I will be sending out an email to everyone tomorrow morning with instructions on how to register for an Orapub membership, where you can access today's presentation materials. And last slide before I hand it back to Coleman to introduce today's speaker. If you haven't already checked out our events page, please do so using the URL that you see here on this slide. The URL to our events page has recently changed to make sure you have the updated URL. It is now event.viscosityna.com. We update this page on a monthly basis with our webinars, workshops, and other great events that we have going on. It's a really great resource. And so with that being said, I'll go ahead and pass it back to Coleman to introduce today's speaker. Thank you.
Thank you, Katie, for the intro. So Monika is an experienced Oracle architect, designer, and developer. She started her journey with Oracle in the last century with Oracle Database 7, continuing to this day. She emphasizes the solution's simplicity, code quality, best practices, and above all, system performance. She's an Oracle ace and willingly shares her experience. She loves fast motorcycles and databases. Thank you again, Viscosity, for co-hosting a series of webinars, and thank you, Monika, for presenting today.
Thank you for the nice introduction. So let's start, and I will share my screen. So everything fine? It's do you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay, so let's start. Hi, welcome everybody. Thank you for joining my session. Today I want to talk a little bit about unit testing. We all know that unit tests are very important, and we want to do them. But it's why we are here today. But usually unit tests are seen as very difficult and expensive and time consuming, and we usually do not have people and time to do this. So we would love to do unit tests, but maybe in the next project with a higher budget. So today I want to show you, maybe convince you that unit tests don't have to be pain in the neck, and they can be fun and exciting and don't have to be as expensive as you may think. So my name is Monika Lewandowska. I'm Oracle designer and developer since the last century. So please do me a favor and do not count how long ago it was. Oracle is not only my job, but also a passion. And my Another passion is riding by motorcycles, especially traveling. This photo you've seen on the screen was taken in Georgia, not in USA, but in Europe, Georgia, small country. And yeah, I really couldn't move. And my husband, instead of helping me, he was taking a photo and laughing. So this is the moment I should probably assure you that I'm a little bit better with ORAC than with riding, but hey, it's just for fun. ORAC and riding. If you are interested in my ORAC or motorcycle adventures, you can visit one of my blogs, How to ORA, and it's in English, and NA200, it's about traveling. It is in Polish because I'm from Poland, but there are nice photos or movies. So if you like this kind of stuff, you can see this also. So let's back to something more interesting than me, unit tests. So why I want to talk about unit tests? What makes unit tests unique, or maybe this is just ordinary test, common tests like others. What differs unit tests from other kind of tests is, well, we do unit tests during implementation process. So we, as developers, are fully responsible for preparing test cases, run the test, verifying the results. So we mix implementation and unit tests all the time. Other kinds of tests, of course, are done by testers at the next stage of the software development process. And this one we do. But we can do them before we implement our code functionalities. So it is usually called TDD, test-driven development. We can do unit tests while we write the code, or just after. It depends on our software developer process and model. But a lot of people, a lot of developers think that this is the end of the definition of unit tests, but this is all wrong, because the very important part of definition is the second part. The goal of unit testing is to isolate each part of program and prove that these individual parts are correct. So we test program units, and this is very important, that we should get rid of all errors, technical and common errors, and deliver our code to testers error-free, and let the testers focus on tests functionalities and user requirements and user expectations, instead of struggling with technical issues like not null or divide by zero problems. These are technical errors, and we should find them and fix them during implementation process. So we shouldn't focus on user expectation and requirements. We should focus on our code structure, technical errors, and proof that our codes work properly and free from errors. But why we are so eager to do unit tests, why they are so important? There are many things, and we can enumerate them till evening, but I have the list here, one of the most important from my point of view. First of all, unit tests are white box tests. So in contrary to the functional tests done by testers, we see the code. Usually, so we are able to prepare adequate tests, because we see every single line of code. So we know that there is a loop, there's algorithm, there's a condition. So we can prepare proper test cases to test it and to verify this code structure. Unit tests also are very easy to automate, so it's a good candidate to regression tests. because we should test and run and every single program unit, it's easier to automate this kind of test than big functional tests of processes, modules, or whole systems, because you have just tiny tests just for single program units. It's also quite a good documentation, because we run every single procedure and function, so we can see what parameters we could pass to the procedure and what output or what result we can expect from the procedure. Sorry. It's very easy to fix errors when we find them at the unit test stage, because, as I said, we are still writing the code. Usually, when I do unit tests, I have unit tests open at one screen and code on the other screen. So if I find a bug, I can easily find the place where the error is and fix it immediately. And of course, the more errors we find and fix during implementation process, the better, and the code will be of better quality. This is why we want to do unit tests. We want to deliver high quality code, and let testers focus on testing functionalities and user requirements and expectations. But what stops us? Why? There is always a lot of problems with unit tests. When I try to convince people to do unit tests, there are always the same arguments why not to do them. We usually facing same craziness. Some people say that this is just repeating the test, that in a moment testers will do the same thing, so why waste our time and money? Maybe it slows down development too, because this is just an additional work. Not only we have to finish our code, our system, our procedures and function, we also have to do additional things like unit testing. Some chats. Once I worked with a team which was very eager to do unit tests. They even bought a modern tool, fancy tool to help them with these tests. And they start to implement some new features. After they finish implementation, which took 2 days, they started to write unit tests using their modern fancy tool. And this unit test took, maybe someone want to guess how long it took? 10 days, so 2 weeks. So 2 days of development and 10 days of testing. So it's not efficient, I think. But you may ask, but maybe it was worth the additional time. Maybe they found a lot of errors. This is partially true because they found a lot of errors, but unfortunately, more than 90% of them were in the unit test code itself. So only a few were in application codes. So 10 days of testing and they found, I don't know, maybe 5 errors. I don't think it is very efficient, and I think we could and should do better. It's another problem with unit tests. Testers usually have dedicated environment to perform tests, but we as developers usually have only development environment, and as we know, development environment is still changing, and some other developers work here, and they can drop table or delete some records we can prepare some test data, but someone will run the process and our data will be destroyed, and we have to start all over again. And it's a nightmare. I was there and I hate it really, and I bet many of you were in a situation like that. They really wanted to try perform some unit tests, but someone else delete something and we couldn't. And what is more, development environments usually are very slow. So if we even manage to finish preparing our data, test data, and we start our process to test this, it could then take a long time. And instead of coding or testing, we just wait until our process ends. So it's waste of time, and this might be seen as high and unnecessary costs. So testing 10 days testing just to find 5 errors, it's just sometimes proportions are crazy. But maybe we can do something about that. Maybe we could make our tests a little bit better, more efficient, more fun. Let's see, I prepared some demo for today. I will use HR schema, its default schema in Oracle. I'm using Oracle database 18c Express Edition. Yes, and I will use for my demo 2 tables. Employees tables, this is a records, employees records, and departments. I bet many of you may know this the schema. And what I want to do today, I want to prepare the procedure to give a rise to our employees. And to do that, I will add new column to department table. This is a salary PCT to differ how high our pay rise will be. And I will give 20% for IT people and 10% for other departments. So this is our configuration. And I have a very small, very simple procedure to process our employees. So we have here, this is typical procedure to process some data and calc something. So we have some very simple loop for employees table. We iterate every record and query parameters. So our salary is PCT, and then we calc a new salary. And of course, after we calc new salary, we update employee table to set this new value. Okay, so this is our procedure. And for example, we want to test it. I have to warn you that this is the most boring part of the webinar, and I do this only for you. You not to have to do this. So this will be on my side. So for example, we want to test the salary 1000, and we want to check if our procedure calcs properly, pay rise 10%. So expected will be 1,100. Okay, so to do this, we need to prepare some configuration. We need the salary PCT parameter, not here. Here, so we want to insert into the departments, department ID, and salary PCT. Maybe it will be values. Department ID. Let's see, 270. So maybe we'll try with 300. Please don't sleep. And 10% of PCT. So let's try. Nope. Departments cannot insert null into department name. Okay. Department name. Test 10 maybe. Let's see. Oh my God, department name. Okay. Rollback. So we need now a little bit of test data, our employee. Okay, employees, employee ID, salary, and department icon, department ID. Maybe 300, salary 1000. We want to test 1000 and 300 is our department. Let's try. No, the part I don't know. T. No, insert null into last name. Okay, let's try last name. I have tests. Okay. I have enough. As I said, it's the most difficult, annoying, irritating part of the testing, and I bet if you ever try to do unit tests, you struggled with things like that all the time. Me also. So I knew that it will be this way. So I prepared this procedure earlier, and I have here the procedure test procedure. This is my tool procedure to compare calculated value and expected value. And this is our test, PCT 10, salary 1000, expected value 100, 1000 and 100. We have here two inserts, insert into departments and employees, and we have to run our price salary process. Then we have to query our calculated value from employee table, check if it is correct or not, and delete our test data because we want to leave our database without this record. We can also prepare another test, another two inserts, run procedures, SQL, and delete, and another. So we can see if it works. Okay. After a lot of troubles and struggling, we have our test. So what we can do to make it a little bit easier and less boring, less frustrating, less annoying, I want to propose to do some refactoring. What we can do, if we remember that the goal of unit testing is to separate each part of our program and test this individually, we can do this. We can separate different parts of our system and check them. So first, we can separate our configuration query function. I can get PCT return number, begin and we can have here this return this SQL square we can have here. Okay, it's just a template. So we can also separate our algorithm. Oh, I'm sorry, we can. We need the department ID here. So let's do this. number. So instead of a query here, we can have just a function, something like that, and pass some parameter. Okay, it will work, I hope. We can do the same thing with our algorithm. So we can create another function, calc sol, and return number is the begin end, and we can put here our algorithm and return and new sum. Okay, we need salary number and PCT number. And we can do this with update, and even we can do this with cursor. I prepared it before also because we do not have so many time to write the code, proper code, but this is the procedure after refactoring. So we have, instead of one procedure with a loop, query, algorithm, and DML update, we can have here now package with one procedure to control all our process. Then we have the function to retrieve our parameterization, another one for calculating our new salary, another one for update, and another one to open our cursor. So this is our new new procedure, new package, new process. But what it gave me, how I can test it now. What I want to do is to focus on what I want to test is test as previous salary 1000, PCT 10, and expected value would be 1010. What I have to do to test this? Well, we have our algorithm here in our function. So everything I need to do is just run this function. Why? And new sol. This function and salary package. Okay, and now we can just pass our parameters. If I want to test something more, just run this procedure and test, for example, PCT null, or another one, -10. Okay, maybe another one test. 0? Why not? Or maybe null here and null here. So look how easily I can create more and more and more tests without any effort. Of course, we have to add something to check if our calculated value equals the expected value, but running just new tests, it's very, very easy. I have prepared this before also. So this is our one test, and just check. New test, check. Another test, check. And I can do this. I can, within minutes, I can prepare tens, hundreds even tests easily. So let's see. Okay, so we tested. Everything is fine. Of course, I just tested our algorithm, but if you want, We can do tests also for our queries to retrieve our configuration. We can test our update and our cursor even. But the most important thing is that we are not forced to load any data to the system. We are not forced to configure our system to test just one algorithm or one function somewhere at the bottom of our application. So without insert any data, we can test every functional procedure we have in our system. So let's compare our unit tests. Without any problem, with a little bit of refactoring, we get rid of 2 inserts. We don't need to run whole process, which could take a long time, but we just run a very simple PLSQL function and just check the output. We don't need to query the result, and we don't need to delete those data we inserted into the system. So this is much easier to prepare than when we have to configure and load some data. Do you see this? I hope. And you've seen how annoying, time-consuming, and frustrating was preparing these tests just for 2 tabs, one configuration tab, one table with data. Because and imagine that you have system with tens, for example, 50 configuration tables and 20 tables with data, and they are in relations. They have foreign keys, they have some not nulls constraints and other stuff, and you want to test some minor function at the bottom of the system. And to do this, you, for example, have to configure 10 tables and load data to another 10 tables. So it's sometimes nightmare. And what is more, you have to wait until this process, which has to process all the records in table, finished. So it could take hours or even days. Why not? So if you do some refactoring, if you separate functional procedures and function from DML and SQL, it would be much easier and fun. I could test it all day. So this is the demo. So let's back to the presentation. To sum up, if we want to test, we should remember that the goal of unit testing is to isolate each part of the program and show and prove that individual parts are correct. And we should take advantage that we literally see the code. Nobody than us see the code. So nobody than us can prepare proper test for our code. We see the structure, we see the algorithm, we see the loops, conditions. So this is what we should focus and get rid of every technical and common error we can, and deliver free from those kind of errors to the testers, to the functional tests. We can do functional tests, but first we have to do unit tests and get rid of those kind of tests. So we should focus on testing program units instead of testing requirements. We should test the code, the structure, algorithm, and loops and conditionals. We shouldn't focus on requirements and data, on processes, configuration, or functionality. Of course, we can test them. But as I said, the question arises if requirements tests are still unit tests. No, this is functional test. This is something different. And we can, of course, test data if it is important for our system. But this is the difference between testing data because we want to test data or being forced to load data, to configure the system just to test something independent from data. Because if you want to test if our algorithm calc properly new pay rise, we don't need data to this. We just need some in parameters and check the output. So this is the most important. And how we can do this? First, we have to do some refactoring, or if we start a new project, we should remember that our procedures and functions should be very small. Personally, I like have procedures not longer than 50, maybe 80 lines. The smaller the procedure is, the easier it is to test it. So, well, the composition, yes. And it helps us, it makes our procedures testable. So, of course, the output should depend only and only on input. It is called deterministic, and we should care about this and separate SQL from functional code. It let us, it make it easier to test and prepare our tests properly. And maybe we can, after this demo, maybe we can back to our test craziness. If unit test slows down the development, not at all, because if we get rid of configuration or loading data, we can perform and prepare and run tens of tests during a minute. So it's very, very fast and very efficient. And in fact, it can speed up our system, our development instead of slowing it down. It's unit tests are the most efficient tests ever. No other test is as efficient and as unit test can be, because we can test individual parts, individual procedure and function, and just pass some input and check the output, and this is it. We don't need data to test it. So PLSQL procedures are very fast. Is it not efficient? No, it's the most powerful and the most efficient tests from all tests. As unit tests repeat the other kind of tests, it's the same. No, not at all. Unit tests are very unique. And if we create them and prepare our test cases properly, if we really focus on testing our code, structure, algorithms, etc., no other test will repeat this, because testers usually are focused on testing functionalities and requirements, and this is their job. Our job is focus on testing our code and deliver free from technical and common errors to the testers. Problems with environments? We have problems with environment if we have to load some data, if we have to configure tapes and configure the system. If we just run the simple PLSQL procedures and just pass some in parameters and check the results, there's no problem at all. And what is more, it's very fast. So time consuming and high unnecessary costs, not at all. This is the most efficient, most powerful, and most unique test ever. Remember that the team I was talking about spent 10 days out of 12 days of development on performing unit tests. I bet if they struggled with data mostly, and this is why their tests were so inefficient. I bet if they follow these couple of rules, they would finish testing in 1 day, not more. So if you want to even more help to perform your unit tests, you can use some of tools. For example, we have UTPL SQL. It's a very powerful tool. It's constantly developed. This has a lot of reports. It integrates with SonarQube, Coveralls, Jenkins, TeamCity, and many more. So it's a really very good tool. We can use also Code Tester. It's the tool for Toad. And also SQL Developer has some built-in feature for unit tests, and also plugin for UTPL SQL is also included. But there is a saying, not a motorcycle, but a technique will make you a rider. So not a tool will help you with your unit tests, but you and your approach and how you prepare your code for tests. This is the most important to have success in unit testing and to create successful and efficient and fast unit tests. So there's all I wanted to tell you, but there's some questions. Why not embedded the comment? Why not embedded comment section into the procedure with the test code already there and explanation how to use? Yeah, the C hope so. Do that. Yeah.
It looks like there's one question in the Q&A box. I'm not sure if it's been answered yet.
Yes, I'm reading this now.
Okay.
But I'm not sure if I understand this because we can create unit tests whenever we want. We can use tests or we can embed this into the comment section if you want. But the most important is to prepare our code testable. So if we get rid of SQLs and DMLs, if you separate SQL from our functional code, it would be much easier to test it. This is the most important thing I want to tell you. And this is how you test it. If you use some tool or if you prepare some unit test tool for yourself, it doesn't really matter. It's what suits you best. So you must remember that if you do unit tests, the most important thing is to deliver system free from common and technical errors. We cannot omit unit tests and start from functional tests or testing user requirements. First, we deliver system free from common and technical errors. This is the first step, and this is unit test 4. And then we can do other kind of tests. Either we can do those tests or we can leave it to testers. I don't know, it depends on our company process. Many times I was asked what we can do with legacy code. There's nothing we can do. Just during modification, we should do some refactoring and separate SQL from functional code, add unit tests, and with time we will have more and more unit tests. And yeah, I hope I gave you some food for thought, and I have finger crossed, and I hope you will try it, and you will see and appreciate this. If you separate SQL from functional code, your unit tests will be fun and exciting, and this is what I wish for you. So thank you. If you have questions, you can ask now or reach me via email, monika@gmail.com, or Twitter, Monika Mitura. It's a little bit trick because this is my maiden name, not Lewandowska, but Monika Mitura, or you can visit one of my blogs. So thank you. Are there any
Thank you,
questions?
Monika. It doesn't look like there are any additional questions, so we can go ahead and wrap up the webinar. A special thanks to Coleman and the NYOUG for co-hosting this webinar series with us, and thank you, Monika, for a great presentation. Just a reminder, the recording and slide deck will be posted on the NYOUG Viscosity partner page on orapub.com tomorrow. So I'll be sending out an email tomorrow morning with instructions on how to register on Orapub if you aren't already a member, and how to navigate to this page to access the webinar content from Monika's presentation. So thanks again, everyone.
Thank you.